And I'm glad you mentioned e-commerce. This is obviously a big portion of your business,
sure it is.
which I want to get to. So this is my final question on trade. Do you expect now that the U.S. is pulling out, China to do its own bilateral deals with South Asian nations?
They will definitely try to do their own deal with the Asia-Pacific nations that were part of the TPP, and I hope we will come up with some sort of substitute agreement, a free trade agreement, perhaps with Japan. But bilateral free trade agreements are harder to get because Japan just doesn't sell things to the United States. They sell things to many people. And I think it was very, very significant that last week, while our political election was coming to a close with the inauguration of a new president, President Xi was in Europe.
That's right.
Speaking at Davos, talking about their commitment to trade. So I think the Chinese are going to try to use our withdrawal from TPP to become a much bigger force in setting the rules of world trade.
So what is your advice then to President Trump? I mean, obviously, China has been a big point of contention because of all of the things that you've mentioned. It's not just a trade relationship. It's stealing intellectual property. It's not allowing businesses to have any more than 49% if you want to operate and try to sell to their 1.3 billion people. So what do you want to tell Donald Trump?
Well, what Donald Trump should do, in my opinion, is to get the very able group of 3 people that I just mentioned and come up with a strategy to try to talk the Chinese into, one, opening their markets, ceasing a lot of this industrial protection and the espionage, as you said, and third, reducing the tensions in the South China Sea. That's what we need to do. Engage the Chinese, not hold them at arm's length.
So could this be the beginning of that, pulling out of TPP, doing the other deals with other nations, perhaps this carrot and stick approach that Donald Trump has been trying to do?
Well, the president and the 3 men that I just mentioned who are his frontline in trade are very, very smart people. Yeah. They understand this. Robert Lighthizer, the new USTR, was the deputy U.S. trade representative under Reagan when we were dealing with a lot of the same type of mercantilism from Japan in those days. So there's an opportunity here to lean into this. The main thing is to not try to stop trade. It's about 27% of our economy, and we have 40 million people in the United States working in trade. And those jobs are much higher paying jobs than normal jobs in the United States.
Very important to hear your insights on this important topic. Fred, let me switch gears and ask you about business today. E-commerce, obviously incredibly important for your business. You're just coming off of the holidays. Characterize business for us and what you're expecting in 17.
Well, e-commerce is continuing to take a lot of market share from traditional retailing, as you talk about on this show quite a bit with the restructuring a lot of the retail sector. Amazon is the biggest participant in the e-commerce area, although almost all major retailers now have significant e-tailing operations. 95% of all e-commerce in the United States is delivered by FedEx, UPS, and the Postal Service, so we're the enablers of this kind of business. It's becoming increasingly international in scope. As I mentioned a moment ago, it's about a $2 trillion market today. Trade, by the way, is about 28% of all economic activity in the world, all of it.
Wow.
So e-commerce is a real growth opportunity. And there are a lot of traditional industries like steel and aluminum, which are the subject of a lot of the trade disputes. But the new economy, the electronics and services and e-commerce, those are the things we really need to lean into and make sure that our companies and our workers have an opportunity to sell to these billions of additional consumers around the world.